Bifrost versus Vanir is the next game in
Smooth.
store for you. Yeah, no segue, just straight up Bifrost versus Vanir.
Not that pre-game.
What do we expect for this one? Because we have a lot to talk about, but can we talk about Diamond Prox versus Creox?
We definitely can, because I feel like they're two, I'd say, very similar junglers to the point where we saw that Prox is very willing to drop levels, to drop CS, just to get something going in the early game. Maybe gank, especially towards things like the Wukong or the Volibear. He takes them early, he'll gank a lane, put them ahead. I feel like Creox is really good at doing the same, especially in the earlier stages of the split, where we did see the lights of his Lee Sin come into play. He was very creative with his pathing, he was very creative with his ganking, and he was getting advantages through that. I feel like Vanir, ever since the change in meta, have fallen a little bit behind on that regard. Creox is not as aggressive in the early game, and I think that initially hurts the team.
I'll give you one even better. Let's see their match history against each other to understand what's happening. So far, Diamond Prox has a little bit of an advantage. Also more titles in LCL playoffs. It's on Creox.
You know what hurts? That Creox has made more playoffs,
Yes.
but has won less titles.
I'm not even sure what exactly it says, to be honest, but yeah, the difference there is quite big. But I'm loving the playstyle of both of them, to be honest. It's this thing that enables the carries in their team, and it just leads to such interesting plays in the middle game.
It's really interesting to see Diamond Prox, not only because it's Diamond Prox itself playing, but the way that he reads the map and allows Bifrost to do such plays. Last week, or last day, it didn't quite work out for Bifrost, and they need this victory. You were talking about this as we were looking into the standings. If Bifrost lose today, not only it kind of mixes up the entire standings, but also sends a message that Bifrost not always get to the late game.
I feel like with the changes that Bifrost made this split, swapping out Seaboy from Diamond Prox and Duel for Highway, there would be a much stronger team. I just feel that they haven't necessarily found their footing. And even though we had Bifrost as this team that, if you do play against them above 25 minutes in the game, you have lost 100% because their team fighting is impeccable. And don't get me wrong, their team fight is still impeccable because the hyper carry all the way down the bot lane is still the same guy playing the same stuff, right? But I feel like a lot of their power in the previous split came from their solo lanes, and I just don't think Fury and Shikari have been as dominant. Is it due to the fact that a lot more dominant solo laners have come into the play, like Kerberos, like Vladdy and Jaxplank, and they have shut them down? Or is it because this particular meta doesn't necessarily suit them? Because if you look at the meta, LeBlancs are out, Aries are out, these are the bread and butter of Fury, so he should technically be pretty good playing this.
And I'm going to play a game with you, Solari. I want to know from you, what do you expect from this game, but you're not allowed to say blood or chaos. There you go.
Oh no.
I got you.
No.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, what do you expect from this game between Bifrost and Vanir? What do you
A bloodbath.
And chaos?
Yes.
A chaotic bloodbath.
Chaotic
Chaotic
bloodbath, yes.
bloodbath. Well, let's see what happens as we jump into the Champion Select for the fourth game of the day for NLC Week 5, Day 1. It's the last day for the half of the split. Moving on to Wednesday, it's all about those rematches between these teams. This is the last one between these two teams, Bifrost and Vanir. Okay, Wukong. Diamond Prox has been using that unstoppably.
Yeah, Wukong, Volibear should definitely be in the picture for Bifrost to give towards Diamond Prox, try to get that early game rolling. Especially the fact that they do ban the Viego as well says to me that we don't want you on something that's going to go further into the late game. I wouldn't be surprised if right here Bifrost even ban a second jungler, either the Volibear or the Wukong, and try to force Vanir to either ban that third S tier jungler or leave things like the Lucian open, and Odi will grab this for sure.
It is an OD difference, by the way. It is OD, one of the best AD carries, but if you look on the other side, you know that name. It's Merbs. He was on Division 2, and he's now on Division 1. He's playing for Vanir, and he was really aggressive. So you have two aggressive AD carries versus each other. Where do you see like picks? Zeri is off. Lucian could be off. Where do you think they can fall back
You still have things like Twitch, for example, things that can work if you think you can go into late game but don't want to make it too much of a late game. You can pick something like that. You miss out, but if you want to go with something that will give you sustainability, you and the whole team, you still have things like Lulu, for example, completely open for you. So you could pick into that, and then you can try to dominate the lane too.
Oh,
the
I think-
Wukong
out.
was-
Wukong is in.
If Vanir do not pick the center right here, or is it Oddie is an incredible Senna player. I think the best that we have in the NLC so far. So I would not be surprised if we see something in a Senna, like a Senna Tamkent for the sort of Bifrost on 2-3 if Vanir don't break it apart right here. And I don't necessarily see Merbs as a Senna player. So I would love to see what they will reply to here. They can also go for something like they're showing the Rakan, but also like the Xayah Rakan could be something that they're looking forward to. But of course, Xayah works really well into heavy engage, so Wukong would be one of these champions, and Kraox might fall back to his Lilia, which is pretty good scale to the later stages of the game. Yeah.
People are using this actually versus Wukong, and this is a good jungler. Let's see if Kraox is capable of picking that one. It is a hover.
I do not like this. You're hovering all the wrong champions, Kraox. I'm just saying. And out of all three, you pick this one. We gotta talk.
The hopes with Lilia, and then you go with Udyr. I'm disappointed.
I mean,
They're
okay,
giving us the cheap version of
technically
Wukong,
speaking, right?
okay, yeah.
Lilia and Udyr are the same champion. Just one is AD tank and the other one is AP. Pretty much. They both hop, skip, jump, run. That's it.
Fusion of the highest order for me as we move on. AD carries for OD. We want those hyper carries. They're going for the Kalista. This is...
Nah, it's not gonna happen. You know, Fury always
It's
loves
a
to hover
hover,
your
so I'm
champion.
just giving him the props that he
so
deserves.
Kalista, obviously, together with the Nautilus, is a very oppressive bot lane, and I'm actually really surprised that we've seen Zaremba's Rakan that early into the game, because it gives such an easy counter pick towards the bottom of the map. Like, picking Nautilus into Rakan, it's like the Rakan dives in once, he gets stunned, rooted into place, and then stunned by the anchor as well, right? So that gives Kalista a very easy way in, and also having Nautilus around Udyr. Yes, Udyr dives in, but then all you have to do is like auto-attack the Udyr, and then he's stuck in place, right? And then the Kalista can like hop, skip, and jump around the Udyr the entire time. So far, I really like what Bifrost have. We talked about Diamond Procs and picking that Wukong early on, trying to get something like the bottle ahead. They picked the Kalista here, so I'm expecting the top side of the map to be a little bit more under the radar for now.
Midlanders should also be banned. I don't know if you're looking into
I don't know, there's still an
specific
Azir
one.
in there, man. There's still an
Azir,
Azir, and I think
there's
Azir
also
is...
the Yari for the Fury.
Azir is just so strong against Kalista because you place your soldiers at the front, and then Kalista cannot actually navigate around. You also put the wall. It's really difficult for Kalista to play the game. So I think Azir should definitely be maybe one ban from the sort of Bifrost.
You need some control around the movements of that Kalista, and I feel like that's why there is that Rakan that went as a first pick for Vanir, but also it's taking Rakan away from Bifrost in a sword, because with that Wukong, you want to have something that will either follow up him when the engages, or actually be the one to engage first. Yeah, they have Nautilus now, and together with Kalista's ultimate, that is the follow-up. But Rakan just allows so much mobility for you with his engages, and you want to take that away. And this way, Kalista is actually in a little bit mispositioned. If that Rakan decides to go into her, it's going to be hard for her to run around, to jump around the fights. And with Xayah, who is almost unpunishable if she has the ultimate, this can be a hard matchup.
You take that mid lane from Fury. We talked about the Veigar alongside with the Yari. There's still other picks for Fury, yes, picked. He's a dangerous mid laner, I would say.
I'm just very surprised that the Azir has actually gone through here, because I feel like it's very dangerous into the Kalista. You can basically not allow the Kalista to play the game. You've got soldiers, you've got feathers, as you mentioned as well. It's going to be so difficult to navigate it against, and I feel like this is the perfect pick right here for Erixen. Erixen loves his control mages as well, so picking the Azir here should technically be very easy. Now, on the other hand, Fury can choose to pick a kill lane. You've got Nautilus, you've got Wukong, you can go towards something like Elisandra to lock people up. You can just even go towards an Akali. If you so wish, you're going to suffer a little bit in the early game, but then you'll have easier fights later on, or go towards something like even a LeBlanc.
They're leaving that one for the last pick for the blue side. They're going to pick in the Narn to at least have something on the top side alongside with the follow-up from the Wukong. Okay, I can follow you as a Mega Narn. We have a lot of things to throw alongside with the Wukong.
And heavy
but we need
AP
to see
damage
something. Yeah.
that is not Victor.
I know you want the promised
we need
one.
heavy AP damage that is not
He's going for the Victor.
Victor.
He's going for the Victor. I know it. I know it. Fury. You make me mad, but I love you nonetheless. Last pick, it's going to be for the top side versus a Gnar. We could look into a counter pick or something more stable for the team fight, because it seems like Bifrost are heavily inclined towards that team fight capability.
It could be either, and I'm very curious about the pick for Dreampool because he's an interesting player himself. And I was thinking about the possibility of Camille here, to be honest, because again, you want to have as much control around Kalista's movement as possible, and with that, you're just maxing out the ways to make sure she cannot jump jump around in the fights, and if she cannot jump, she's not safe. If there is control on her, if there is somebody who can get to her and stop her, she's very vulnerable. Even Nautilus with her is not going to save her because he's not going to give her the sustain. You lock her, she dies. That's it. That's the whole idea.
I also really love the fact that you're picking Camille into Gnar. You've got kill pressure towards the top side of the map. You bring Udyr up there, slapping the Gnar once. Camille jumps onto them. You lock them down. Shenanigans are happening while we're doing analysis. That's great. Yeah, Camille jumps straight into the backline. You get kill pressure onto the Gnar. And we talked about Shikari and Fury. They haven't been doing the best this particular season, which is unfortunate to see for Bifrost, but at least right now Vanir have locked in themselves one lane that they can play through in the early game.
We're talking about a lane that, as a new player, by the way, Dream is a new player for Vanir, and it's a dream for Vanir to take down Bifrost. Is that going to happen? I don't know, but certainly Nightmare and Hiprain are going to guide us through this game.
Ow.
How are you doing?
I don't know what's happening either. What do we do? Who knows?
I genuinely thought he goes, surely Nightmare and Hiprain are going to know. No, we have no idea. We'll find out, I guess. Hello, we're getting ready to go into game number 5.
Four.
I swear I can count.
It's so weird because the games have been so quick today. It's really messed with our sense of timing.
Yeah.
We had 3 really, well, they weren't necessarily all one-sided, all really quick.
I'm going to be real with you. The last 2 years has messed with my sense of timing. It still feels like 2020 to me. My brain just can't function and like figure out time. Like we're almost at August.
It's okay.
Like, we're the end
time
of
is
June.
actually a human construct.
Yeah, true.
It's very strange. And I have a physics degree. I'm qualified to tell you that. I'm not going to qualify it with anything. I'm not going to tell you why, but I'll say what it is.
Well, I have a degree. Well, actually, I didn't even finish the degree. I've got a diploma in drumming. So I can
That's pretty cool.
I can tell you how to hit things.
So does that mean if I say a pun, you could do like the but like in a...
Well, if I had an actual drum kit on me, yeah. But
Okay.
I mean, you just did it with your mouth, so...
True. That's because I don't. That's because I don't have a diploma in drumming.
That was most of the stuff I did at uni. Was just... No, my uni was insane. I had a... Well, it was a music uni, so...
Right.
A lot of
presumably, it would be quite strange to get a drumming...
ex-musicians-
Well, it would be quite different to get like a drumming like diploma from somewhere that wasn't about music.
Yeah, no, we did it at maths college, mate. I mean, there's a lot of mathematics to it, to be fair.
True.
Like,
I actually did some things about drums in my physics degree because you know it's really difficult to actually perfectly model a drum because it's got 3 different areas of axes of movement. It's almost impossible to do real time, which is why it's always useful to have a real drum kit over like a synthesizer one.
And for any drummer who's watching, and myself obviously included, can tell you, a real drum kit just feels better.
Yeah.
It just feels so much better. Anyway, do you know what feels good? League of Legends,
Yeah,
baby!
League of Legends, woo!
All right, so Bifrost versus Vanir right now. I'm curious to see how this goes down. It's our second Udyr of the day. I know Trouble's been fairly passionate about how much he hates it. Obviously, Dan on XL pulled it out earlier and made it work very, very well. This time, it is into the Kalista. Last time we had the Kalista with him. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work because typically, the biggest counter to Kalista is hard CC. If you can just lock her in place, you can absolutely melt her. Flash bear slap onto Odie.
But it doesn't have the flash, it's the ghost. And that's the first thing I noticed. Because I sat there going like, well, that kind of helps in like early game duels because you run into the Yoda and he just walks you down with so many auto attacks. Even on the lethal tempo, right? It's really good dueling potential. But that isn't going to help you against the Kalista, who's going to hop away from you, is going to have a Nautilus blocking, and it's not going to help against the gravity field. I think that Victor, against most of the enemy composition, is, as the desk was saying, kind of problematic, right? Because you've got the Xayah that kind of outranges you with feathers. It's going to be the crit Xayah, so it makes it a little better. It's not going to be the poke QE combo, which is kind of difficult for you. Camille can get on top of you quite easily, but that Udyr is going to have an awful time. That is the one thing which Victor really brings to this composition. It devalues Creox's impact on the game once you get into larger and larger confrontations. So that's what I'm starting to look for from Fury and see how much he can limit the impact of that Udyr as one of the big go buttons from Vanir, as you were saying, that targeted CC onto Kalista.
Yeah, and I guess the kind of big workaround here for the Victor as you get into these big confrontations is planning and foresight, getting the vision down, finding good angles to come in with a flank, because he can gravity field one spot. He can't gravity field multiple spots, and especially if we get the likes of, you know, I mean, a Mountain Soul obviously is going to increase the value of the Victor because there's more tight chokeholds to walk through. We're not going to have an Infernal map, so, you know, there's less ways to kind of quickly find a quick cut around. So it's kind of about that foresight and planning and preparing. So you know Dragon's coming up. Okay, let's get vision around the red side jungle, figure out where we can get our Camille and our Udyr to come in multiple angles, and then Victor can only really stop one of those.
So, I So again, talking about angles, it has been the real talk. It's something which I've talked about actually a lot with a lot of these team compositions, even over the last 2 years, really, when we have had a lot of objective fights where it has come down to choosing your terrain well. You talked about that in regards to different soul rifts, but just in general, making sure you've warded out certain options, certain angles, so they can't just sneak up on you with a flank, and someone like a Camille can obviously make massive use of that Rakan, similar kind of thing, and that will be a big factor in this game. Of course, we're not nearly at the point where we have to start talking about 5v5s yet. Got an early game to go through just so far, and Creox has started to make some moves.
Yeah, just a little bit here. His highway's going to take a whole bunch of damage, but he's going to be okay. Do you know, it's funny, you know, when you're at school, you're learning about angles. You don't expect them to be applied in this way, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't think about it in this way. But you know what we're still not using? Algebra. I've not used any algebra here, man. I'm just saying, it's a waste of time.
I'm trying to think if I... So, the only
You did
way...
physics, so you're a little bit niche.
I feel like at this point, I just sit here and I'm like, God, I gotta make this useful for something. What do I do? I've spent so much time on it. You can use it to find the optimal way to make a certain length of fence into a really high area, like cattle pen. So if you need to make like...
If you needed a cattle pen?
Well, I haven't yet. I might do at some point in the future.
Yeah, just so you know, freaks actually pay us in cattle.
Oh,
So,
right, yeah.
It actually might be quite useful.
You know, that's how it works over here. I've got beef with so many people now. I've got so much cattle. Oh, God.
Invoice cattle.
If anyone has any inventive ideas of how to use algebra in modern life, I'd quite like to learn at this point. It'd be quite nice. Did it for a very long time.
I pity you on that. I mean, I was horrific at maths. I was so bad at maths.
Yeah.
I passed my maths GCSE on my 4th attempt.
Oof. It's a bit
Weirdly
of
enough, I'm dyslexic, and I actually did really well in English.
Well, the thing is that there are different ways that it can kind of evolve itself in terms of reading speed and then also comprehension of numbers. Multiple ways it can kind of manifest itself.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience as someone who oddly can get a bit confused by numbers sometimes. Really chose a weird direction in life, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You did.
Well, now I'm here casting video games and watching this early game be a little quiet, which is also why we've not really talked about the game as much. I promise we are actually looking at the screen, and most of it has been quite nullifying. It's been very even across all of our lanes. Creox has been getting a bit of vision into the enemy jungle. Again, we can see some red side wards about the place, but that's it. We're 7 minutes in, and we haven't really had more than that, even though you expect a little bit from the Udyr. Creox has been doing what Udyr, not Udyr, well, yes, Udyr definitely on that kind of thing, but Olaf used to do in terms of just hyper clear, go really, really fast through the jungle, and then just have like 30 seconds to a minute to respond to the map and see if anything happens. He's not here to respond in bot lane.
Good hook into the flash, but Merbs is able to get away. They do burn a flash there from Merbs. Zambera actually... nice to hold his own flash, let Merbs flash, and then jump to Merbs. Yeah. It's okay for Merbs to burn flash. Typically, an AD carry losing flash is pretty rough, but Merbs is not too far from 6. Once you got that Feather Storm, it's not quite as impactful in that sense, but it is a get out of jail card as Diamond steals away on Grump.
Takes that one away from Vanir's bot lane. That had just backed off because they're like, well, we're going to lose this next wave to tower. Maybe they're looking for a dive. Didn't expect Diamond Procs to actually be just around the corner in terms of waiting for that bot side, and he is still here. He's got an ignite on him.
Can Zambera live? The heal has kept him alive as Diamond is taking so much damage. Erixen decides he's not going for it. Gonna catch the rest of this farm and this tower here. But they may just come for the old switcheroo now that Zambera is flashing Ignite-ness and Ignite less and has actually been forced onto a reset. There is a world where they could go for a dive. Creox is using this opportunity to just strip the jungle away. But Merbs should be able to hold on to this tower. Should be getting 6 fairly soon as well, so it's going to be even harder.
Yeah, we're back in the 2021 jungling, 2020 jungling, where it's just like, yep, okay, cool. Power farming it is. Just run all the way through the jungle, and you start losing control of one side, and you spend too much time on one side of the map, you lose a quadrant of the jungle, and then suddenly one of these hyper-clearing junglers gets ahead of the curve. Heck, we even kind of saw that last game with the Graves versus the Wukong. Graves goes through a quadrant, suddenly you're 2 levels down, because that's kind of led into a couple of different advantages for the enemy jungler, and Diamond Procs did manage to blow all 4 summoners in bot lane. That's definitely worthwhile. It's definitely something, and of course stole away a Gromp as well. You know, so it's not like you're not falling behind in complete total farm. But still, seeing this Udyr kind of just hoovering up different jungle camps means that is something to track as the game goes on and see if Creox can use that individual lead for anything.
Diamond is on a ward, and they've actually brought Zambera over, but it looks like Vanir are quite happy to give this up. They are happy with the way that actually the jungles is going as Zampera goes from a full top side clear, there we go, into the bot side, and now he's just going to strip away even more jungle camps.
Whoever continues. Fear the mighty suction power of Udyr's hoovering of jungle camps. He even counters jungles, the bargain bucket, leaves one Raptor to stop that recall, the reset rather, the respawn. Right,
there we go. Words are hard.
They can be. Diamondprox is going to see that one, able to at least clear that out, so it's not going to be left on a very long... Wait, buddy, friend. He might actually just be walking down bot side to try and look for a play on the timer. Maybe he's trying to play around a tight timing course. Has the Herald, maybe just wants to run straight bot and use this before Vanir know anything's up.
Yeah, they're coming out with a Hex Flash, actually. Merbs does have the Feather Storm. Is just going to pop it to dodge away on the ultimate. Nice little bailout. Could come out in time, but it won't. Diamondprox has been denied a lot of jungle, but will be able to get himself first blood. Herald can get placed here as well. They do have Creox. If Creox decides to move down, it looks like he's going to do so as he catches Diamondprox, actually, and the Ghost has been popped. Diamond has to be so careful here, but Creox pops that Ghost, and they are going to get the plates. They are going to get the gold and get away with it, really. So Vanir, actually... Creox has been having a very good jungle path and very good jungle, like 1v1 in that sense.
Yeah, the individual leads are going well for Creox. I can definitely understand that, but now we're looking at, once again, Odie being made into a Kalista Wrecking Ball. We've seen this multiple times from Bifrost. Last time I personally saw it was versus Eminem in that crazy late game fiesta. But before that, it was a hugely impactful early game from Bifrost to get Odie to 5-1. Crazy turret plays, crazy farm advantage. So Bifrost are well practiced at getting their AD carry ahead and relevant in the game. It has been, as you were saying, at the cost of Diamondprox's jungle, and he's not even going to get the Raptor respawn because he didn't clear that out. Fury, you're going to spot that, buddy. This is a little sad. The individual advantage is going to continually go over to Creox.
This is not great for them. Creox has that smite up and available, and I think Vanir should be able to finish this one up. There it is. Hook goes wide. Creox may just have to sacrifice his life. He has no ghost, but they find a cheeky knock-up, and Creox goes down. A pick-up there as Highway is sent up into the face of Zambera and Erixen. They've got the hook. They've got the follow-up, and Bifrost. Jungle might not be going well, but the problem for Vanir is everything else is actually going pretty smoothly.
The Highway, making like it's deep purple, screams across that fight as a Highway star right into that backline. And you can see the power of this Kalista into even something like the Azir. You look at Kalista, it has trouble when you're standing in the Azir's shoulders. Finally cleared out. But when you have the Kalista ultimate, you can't stand and fight around your soldiers. So Vanir peeling off of that dragon weren't really in a position to fight. And because Bifrost can so quickly change the area which the fight is played around, they can take these big fights. Really look at how they threaten Vanir on the retreat, because it's all well and good. Erixen is here starting to set up soldiers. Cool, but what happens when you only get 2 autos off? You can't sit there and put down soldiers forever. You've only got so many charges. You're not even in a position to defend that. Bifrost walk in, get themselves a couple of kills, and as you were saying, while some things in terms of individual advantages in that jungle aren't going well for Bifrost, everything else is turning up pretty strongly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is actually resulting in a 3,000 gold lead over to the side of Bifrost. Obviously, those tower plates in that first tower blood definitely going to be paying tribute towards that. Vanir now do have to look towards, okay, we've played for Dragon Soul, and then the prize of that is a Cloud Soul. So it's like, it's not awful. Udyr actually quite likes it because it slows down his internal cooldowns. But even so, it's not the greatest Drake for them to kind of be heavily invested.
Does it do that anymore since it changed back to the slow resist and the out of combat moves?
Oh,
does it do that anymore? Because it used to when it was ultimate haste. Now, I'm not sure, let's be honest, a couple of things have tended to go missing from minute patch changes. Occasionally, champions have ended up retaining some buffs from periods of time where they probably don't need them anymore. But
yes, you are correct.
So the observers ended up highlighting the individual gold. I'm not going to ask them to go back to it because you'll have to take my word. Okay, they're so kind today. But you can see there, even though the XP advantage was over the Creox for so long, gold advantage massively in favor of Diamondprox. Well, not massively. Okay, it's in favor of Diamondprox. I was just looking for a word on top of that. Surprisingly in favor of Diamondprox. Of course, gets that kill, a couple of assists, gets some plate gold on top of it. The Wukong is starting to get items. That's not the best position for Vanir to be in.
No, not at all. As Erixen actually Gets a Chaos Storm onto him. This is more just to zone him off the wave.
Well, it's kind of unfortunate because you see that they've just used that Shifting Sands, just used that E. So Erixen can't go and disengage from the Chaos Storm. If you have to sit and just walk through the Chaos Storm, of course that's pretty bad for you. So Fury thinks that he's found a kind of an opening to punish Erixen, but with the slow landing from the Azir Q, it doesn't really get as much as he would have liked.
Oh my word, Dream Pool does hurt. We haven't really looked at this top lane.
Haven't.
Top lane, I mean, today top lane has been a little bit quiet, other than our last game where we had a swap.
We had a Tryndamere do some work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess.
Had a Tryndamere
Laning fight effect.
Okay, laning phase is like, yeah, they're just kind of there.
A little bit underwhelming for them. Diamond Prox is basically the third man in this bot lane. Wherever Highway and ODR, Diamond Prox is normally about, and Mercs is suffering for it.
Hear me out. We have a mountain dragon. We have an ocean dragon. Why not have an island dragon, which only affects top laners? Wouldn't that be a fun idea? Top laners get like 10% serotonin. Wow, you feel good for being left alone by the rest of your team.
It puts a wall up, and the game is just like, you've either got a gank by going to your base and walking up and then reset.
It's like top laners, when you get the soul, just have like a Jarvan Cataclysm just circle around them at all times. Come and get me now! Leave me to 1v9!
I feel so bad for Skarner mains. They have to flash over the wall to get in. I'm sure a lot of top laners would be quite happy with that.
Yeah, I'm sure many would find that very entertaining. Well, you know, you heard it here first if that ever ends up hitting the development pathway. But
yeah, me and Jamada were talking about dragon ideas years ago, and I mentioned an ice dragon.
Right.
And like, it basically kind of ended up being what Hexdrake is. Like, it has
with like a slow or something.
But we had the idea of it, like, you'd be quicker on the river because it's like ice, but your character would like slide.
Oh, that'd be so
it'd be
cool.
like team fights, people would be sliding around if you fought at Baron and Dragon.
That reminds me of a mini game I used to play on the PS1. It was a Crash Bandicoot game, Crash Bash, where it was like one of the big like icicles, knock them off the arena kind of things. That's what it reminded me of first. Like, yeah, slide around the rift. Be horribly unbalanced. I imagine playing like 1,000 move speed champion on that. Rammus just flies up into the horizon.
Just slides into the top lane. Anyway, we're going to see this Rift Herald actually get placed down here in the mid lane, and potentially Bifrost might look for a little bit more. Herald is the only thing really tanking tower, though, so it should be able to get cleared out fairly quickly. As the depth charge just gets thrown down, and the tower will go out. So it's just going to be the mid lane tower for now, but the dragon is up. So maybe we might see some attention go towards this dragon.
We're starting to see some real problems from Vanir at this point. They actually haven't achieved anything with Camille into Gnar, which is typically a preferential matchup once you get a bit of golden pocket. Kriox hasn't achieved anything in terms of actual helping out his team on the Udyr, so these lanes are stable at best. And now you're getting to the point where you have to respond to Bifrost in the 5v5, which is what we said, oh, you know, we're not there yet. Well, we are here now. Fury putting down those Chaos Storms, putting down those Grav Fields, make it so hard for Kriox to find that engage, which kind of leaves Zaremba to do it alone if Dream pulls on a side lane. And Vanir don't win out in situations where that's the case.
You know what Vanir have got a lot of?
What have they got a lot of?
A lot of animals. There's 3 birds on this pack.
But they don't have a crab.
They don't have a crab, no.
Maybe if we leave it 30 minutes, they all evolve towards the same crustacean.
1 crab bird, please. Let's see what animals you guys have got at home.
Oh,
that's Archerom's dog.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's so
Poga
precious.
is adorable.
We have more. I'm going to start pressing loads of buttons. Let's see what other pets we've got here. Oh
my gosh.
Little kitty. Look at the Tobies.
You know what? This has been the best addition to the broadcast we've ever had. I love seeing so many of these pets. This is wonderful.
Wait, has he got trousers on?
Is that
He's got a pair of boxer shorts?
I was wondering if that was that,
might be
or like a nappy.
Yeah, it might be a nappy.
Yeah, sometimes your pets do. I am so happy we saw all of those pets. Thank you so much for showing us your animal friends.
I don't care about your opinions on our league and what teams you like. I care about your dog and your pets. That's what I care about. Someone did tweet at me and I've asked for it to get shown up, so hopefully we'll bring it up later in the broadcast because someone has something to do with the conversation we were having last game, actually.
We'll save it.
Mervs, though, might not be a pet that's that loved. Goes out for a quick Feather Storm to dodge away on the Depth Charge and the Cyclone. So, you know, 2 ults burnt for 1. Vanir probably kind of okay with that, but Diamondprox and the rest of Bifrost just getting the inside track on this mid lane.
Yeah.
They should be able to get here in time, although actually Highway kind of gatekeeping them in the jungle, so they may lose their mid lane tower for this.
You know, we were talking about a little bit of that terrain control before in terms of actually how do you can't control all angles, X, Y, Z, but with Bifrost getting control of the map, getting vision, being able to push up in that mid lane, you get to actually fight around the sides instead. Dreampul's trying to force the issue though.
Yeah, but he's gonna get
Oh my gosh.
Use the Hextech ultimatum to get away. The hook shot, no! Diamondprox gets him with the monkey bop. They have to put up the tower, and now Zambera's running away from the
Zaramba.
team. And he will go down. The tower from Erixen will buy a little bit of time. But Vanir, they got bored of waiting. They wanted to pick up the tempo, and they paid the price for it heavily.
And Bifrost have so much control at this point. As we were just talking about, they have control over the territory they want to fight around. They're pushing up in mid. They're forcing Vanir to come at them from these small jungle entrances, which Vanir obviously don't want to do into the Victor, into so many other of these champions. So Vanir try and change that up, but it's not clinical enough. Dreampul is too disconnected from his team. The timing's off. Bifrost sniff it out, and Dreampul is just left to really sit there and bear the brunt of the mistaken timing from Vanir. And Dreampul, of course, came in for Hesero in this game.
Yeah.
Whether Hesero was subbed out, we were looking for Dreampul. Has had a quiet game so far. Not necessarily always a negative thing, but this one is not a good look for that Camille. Really sad eventuality there as they're just a little disconnected from their team.
That was, I think, just a little bit too deep of a TP.
I think it's the right play. I will say, I think it's the right play. I think
Yes.
that's the right call because you can't, as we were saying, fight around those jungle entrances. It just seems like both sides of the equation there in Vanir weren't quite on the same side of the coin, same page, whatever, but...
I hadn't done their algebra in preparation.
We found the algebra.
Haven't been able to put X and Y together and turn that into a kill so far as Vanir might just be losing another member as Monkey will send them sliding, but Erixen looks to take him down and Monkey. Down goes Erixen. A cheeky pick up there for Diamondprox, his third kill of the game.
Our battle will be legendary. It lasts like 3 seconds. That's it. I want my movie tickets back. Give me Kung Fu Chicken 3 or whatever.
Kung Fu Chicken.
We don't have a panda in this game. It's the best I've got.
We don't have a panda. Riot, what are we
Panda
doing?
Volley
We're
Bear.
literally
Panda Volley
you're
Bear.
releasing Samira again. Why aren't you releasing a panda?
Oh, we could. Well, there is Panda Annie. There is Annie's
I
here
mean,
with
it's
a
kind
panda.
of close, I guess. It's not the same. I want to
It's not
dedicate.
the same. I actually want a dedicated panda. Maybe we could get a new skin out of it.
His whole thing is he sits on the fountain and eats bamboo. He doesn't get in on the rift at all.
Oh, at least he's not hibernating like the rest of the bears.
It'd be a good bard skin. Panda bard.
Well,
It's
might need
chimes
to-
and bamboo, and because he's never around, he's always just rolling around doing his own thing. It's the perfect champion for a panda skin.
Oh my god.
Yeah, by the way,
given me
this is
so
a
much to
21-minute
think.
game with 6 kills. That's why we're talking about these kinds of things.
Oh my god. I wish I had more to say about this, but legitimately, again, like we've kind of said what needs to be said. Bifrost, they are controlling terrain, they are making sure that they have the engage options of it, are just again starved of options, as we've seen many of our losing teams be today. It has actually seemed like the story of most of our games today have been you get ahead and you just silence the enemy team's options. You get vision, you get to just play around the area of the map that you want to, and it feels like on the losing end, our teams haven't quite had the same creativity as we would need to see from them to really come back in these games.
Yeah, unfortunately for Vanir, every attempt has been, on paper, a good attempt, but
Yeah, it's the right choice. It's
the
just,
thing with Bifrost is they have a lot of single target CC. There's a lot of crowd control.
and
from
they
this
have a
team.
lot of gold.
And they have, yeah, they do. They also do have some fairly large wallets. It's not going to be a perfect game, though, as Vanir will be able to pick up their second tower, along with the fact that they've got 2 dragons as well. So it's not the perfect game by Bifrost, but it's pretty clear, it's pretty crisp, it's pretty clean. And also, sometimes a perfect game does involve sacrificing something, so you don't sacrifice something bigger. And I think that's what Bifrost have done this game is, you know, they didn't contest those dragons because it would have just been a big mistake and this game could have slipped away from them. So it's easier to lose a dragon than a couple of teammates.
And what's happened in this game, which we can get back to our panda talk after if you want, but I definitely want to say this.
I'm out of panda
right?
facts, don't
One thing pandas are legitimately the only bears that don't hibernate because they literally have such a bad diet that they don't have enough energy to hibernate. It's really interesting.
Do you know, I love how you're like,
Okay, look, one more thing. Look, I really like how Bifrost have been consistent. They're looking to fight.
Oh, they are, and that panda bear slap ain't gonna do anything. Odie able to find the kill, the 7th kill.
It's
in
just
23 minutes.
This is just really easy League of Legends from Bifrost. They're playing it out so consistently, which is something that we've asked for them from this split. They've had a couple of awkward communication issues partway through this split, particularly in their 3 losses. They've looked a little disconnected. This one has been really by the book. We haven't really had to say much about Bifrost in terms of what they could be doing to improve because they've continually just been playing towards what their comp wants to do, and they've been rolling through Vanir without too much opposition right now. That's the word.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what happens when a movable force gets met by a movable object.
Well, Vanir are continuing to stumble back towards the ropes on this one, and after what was a very hard-fought victory from them, or rather, well, a very important victory from them, versus Noriki to get them up to that 3-5 scoreline, it would have been such a good thing to cap off this first round of the NLC, the first round robin, to get themselves onto 4-5. As it stands, it does look like Bifrost are going to be walking away to get sole position of third place, I believe, behind Riddle, and then, of course, them behind JDXL above them. But they will be clear of Astralis and Dusty, who just evened up their own scores coming at the end of the first round of the NLC Summer 22. So Bifrost would be good for them to kind of keep themselves up towards those top of the standings. Of course, last split finished in that 2nd spot, losing out to X7. 2 series in that last playoffs, but again, still a team to really be feared in this scene they're showing.
Oh yeah, completely. We got 2 minutes until that dragon spawns up. I think we'll probably see some...
Craig, what random animal facts can we fill 2 minutes with? Oh, he's actually thinking about it. Okay, I'm interested in this now.
No. Brain, no work. Cats do sweat. That's a rumor.
Well, I know that a lot of animals do sweat, but humans sweat more, which is why we would just run marathons. That's what we did back in the day. Now, I couldn't run a marathon, but I know that we are built to.
Yeah.
Which means I'm failing in my primary function.
Cheetahs pant as well.
Huh. I thought that cheetahs also... Oh, no, it might be leopards, actually, that used to, like, hide things up trees to go eat later.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one it was. It's cheetah or leopard.
Spiders of the cat world. Squirreling it away.
The spiders of the cat world. Again, that feels like a brand new sentence. I feel like not many things... I feel like that has not been said before. Maybe it has, but...
Yeah, it's literally the first person to say spiders of the cat. To be honest, 90% of the things I say, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that's ever said those.
And that's why I'm still here, captivated by whatever's going to be said next, as we are waiting again for this next fight on the Rift. It has been a measured affair. It's not been explosive necessarily, but Bifrost doing it by the book.
It kind of feels...
teleport into this.
It kind of feels like a Nexus explosion waiting room, this game, unfortunately. Vanir kind of running out of options here, as the inhibitor tower has been left exposed. They've got 2 super minions topside as well, so someone, i.e. Dreampool, is going to have to go handle that, meaning the mid lane inhibitor will be left exposed. And Bifrost, they're in the base. They didn't even need Baron to do so. They can go off and get Baron and Dragon if they want, or they can maybe just look to pressure.
And of course, because, you know, we're conservationists here, there is no fighting allowed. We're not allowed to... again, there are too many animals on the other side. This is all about species protection, I suppose.
Pretty sure Vestians are not a particularly common folk in
no, they're not.
Runeterra, so...
Well, we talked a little bit about the Rune King game earlier. There's a lot of stuff about the Vasani, which are Ari speaking now. Obviously, which is my thing.
Oh, so is Rakan, mate, and they're on the Rift.
Yes, but they weren't... So they're obviously a different tribe of Vestiaire.
Yes.
So they didn't have direct lore in Rune King.
Is it true that Wukong's dating Ari?
I believe it's not true.
That's some copium. He's having some serious copium.
I believe that's not true because of stuff which happens, which I won't spoil, in other things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, well... We'll see about that one.
Anyone, obviously, you can't see his face. When I mentioned that, I genuinely saw pain in his eyes. Like, actual pain in the eyes.
Stop putting me on blast like this, dude. We've got the Baron being started. Unity DPS down, Vanir. Can they get a Baron steal? That might be a ticket into some kind of miracle for them. It's a long shot, but Baron flips have been known to do great and terrible things. There's no flash on Kriegs to get into the pit, though.
Oh, what a depth charge. What a gnar to follow up as they jumping in. Looking to keep this fight going. There's a lot of feathers down. Everybody's being pulled in place. Highway has jumped forward, but down goes Kriegs. Highway has to jump away as the feather storm comes out. There's a lot of feathers remaining on that ground once again by Merz. If he can find a good one, it could be huge. The flash, the reposition, the feathers don't quite hit the dragon. Sorry, the elder, whatever it was. The worm is down. Erixen will fall as well as Bifrost find the team fight victory, and a pair of birds will run back to safety, run back to the fountain, but a scuba diver is hunting them. Oh no, the bird is not the word. He's going to interrupt them, but he will lose his life. But the base is in ruins. Tower number 1 goes down. Tower number 2 will be quick to follow. It was a very reserved game there from Bifrost, but they made it work, and they find themselves the victory.
Meticulous is the word I'd use. It's a fancy sounding word for what was a very methodical game, right? This was by the book. There were a couple of worries early on in terms of actually Diamondprox falling a bit behind. What happens if Diamondprox walks into the Udyr when he's down several levels, doesn't have the same amount of gold in pocket? Well, that never really came to happen because Diamond immediately went towards bot lane, broke that open. Odie got on the board. They started snowballing through him. And this time, unlike the game versus M&M, Bifrost really, really just put this game to rest. There was no real opposition in it. It was just there. It was done.
I mean, we struggled talking about that game and breaking it down. Do you know who's going to
Did
struggle
you tell?
harder? Our desk. Over to you, Archer.
Kaka. There you go. This is the level. This is where we are right now. We almost got a perfect game from Bifrost as well. It was almost there, but
Okay,
Shikari.
guys, it can't be perfect if the opponent team has taken dragons. You need to have all dragons, you need to have all structures yourself, you need to have all kills. It's not a perfect game. They already had 2 dragons.
Obviously, the Katarina main would have to say this. I mean, I'm not. Do you main any champion? Is that any champion that you only play him like your favorite champion?
Oh my god, I would be between Shyvana and Janna.
I did not expect that.
I did not expect that either. I like the Shyvana, I like the Janna.
I'm excited now.
Both extremely annoying.
I know, right?
Katarina main as we look into Bifrost and to wrap up this first half of the split with the big victory, almost perfect versus Vanir, I would say.
I enjoyed it because it was a very slow bleed from the side of Bifrost, right? Diamondprox, again, you know you're going to get out-farmed. You know you're going to fall down in levels to an Udyr. This is what Udyr does. That's why we don't like Udyr. Udyr likes to farm. He likes to flex the fact that he's like, I'm 3 levels up on opponent jungler. And your team is like, please, we've been getting ganked like 50 times, please. We've all died. And he's like, but I got us a dragon, but we're dead. But I got us another dragon. He's like, but we're losing the game. Do something. He's like, but I'm 2 levels up. Don't pick Udyr. That's the lesson here. But again, Diamondprox is more than willing to drop levels, to drop CS, to get his lanes ahead. He went down there in the bot lane, grabbed a kill, gave one to Odie. 100% kill participation from Diamondprox in the early game, and that's why he got the Wook on his hands. That's why he plays the things like the Volibear as well. He's trying to get Bifrost rolling from the early game, and that was very clean. They didn't necessarily have to overextend for kills. I felt like also Vanir kind of fell into their own trip of like, we're going to do nothing and hopefully we scale into the late game, but then you also have a Udyr, so what do you necessarily do in the late game? I felt very confused from the draft of Vanir, and as for Bifrost, I think that was very clean.
That's my look as well, because you see a Kalista on the other side, you pick the Udyr, so you're not going for the ganks specifically on the bot side, so you're letting the Kalista go into late game. It seemed like Vanir didn't really have an answer towards that late game. What do you think about that?
That disappoints me a little bit because if you... If you are not necessarily looking into the late game, you need to be super proactive in early game. By picking Udyr, you're kind of killing the possibility of doing that. So what are you left with? Kind of only the mid game.
Farm.
Or farm. Where does the farm get you if the enemy team is farming on you, though? I'm not sure if it gets you far. But then you try maybe to do something in the mid lane, but by the time you get to the mid lane, you're already way too behind, and the enemy team is so dominant, they don't let you step up at any moment. Like, there was only 1 kill throughout the game. I was expecting the kill finally to happen at some moment, and it did happen with Xayah, who I kind of expected to get the kill, to be honest. But still...
It's a good feeling to look into Bifrost and understand that they are not only a late game team. And to talk more about that, we're going to ask Shikari, the top laner, Welcome back to the show. There you go. Okay, you picking the Gnar, you see the Camille coming in from someone that is new on the other side. So you know this is a challenge. You know she's trying to get the kill on you. How do you adapt into that one? Because you don't have a lot of information about your opponent, do you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the way I adapted was, I think Gnar blind pick is just, it's so safe at the moment. After the durability changes, he just feels so safe. It feels really hard to punish the Gnar. So since I didn't have a lot of information to work with, I just thought I'd just blind pick the Gnar, and I'm probably going to be safe no matter what.
Okay, I just love this right now because I literally wanted to ask you what the state in the top lane is, because usually picking Na, you fall into the trap of getting Camilled, Irelia, train the mid and the tower, and then the whole breaker just opens the entire map. Talk to me a little bit about the durability patch and how it's affected you and your playstyle.
Honestly, I think it's benefited me quite a lot. Like I said, like I love playing Na, and I think Na is one of the champions of like the lowest base HP in the game when he's in his mini form. He's like the same HP or nearly the same HP as Sona or something. So it really benefited him. I think honestly a lot hasn't changed for top lane. I feel like in other roles, like it changed a lot more on top lane. Like I still think Gangplank, Gwen, Ornn, like Na, etc., Camille, all still very good. It just was a lot harder to punish people in early games top, at least for me.
I love the idea that...
Top laners are safe than playing on an island, right?
No, it is. It is. It's really complicated if you bring an assassin or something like that into the top line, like those that really want to go for the blood, and you play something safe like the Gnar. You are the one in command of the land, so you saw the Camille, but deep inside you knew you would be the one commanding the lane, weren't you? There you go. That's the smile of a cheeky one. I know that one. Now you end up the split with a really good position into the standings. Are you comfortable right now?
Yes. Although I know we need to do a lot more, and like I think we're capable of it. So yes, but we need to do more as my answer.
Okay. Now my last question for you was, it wasn't a perfect game. You lost a few dragons, you lost turrets as well, but it could be an unkillable game. Why did you do it on the bottom? You had to do it, didn't you?
I had to do it. I had to punish my team for not playing around me. Guys, why are you not coming top? I'm going to grief it. That's what I did. Sure.
I'm just going to say, Fury did it as well. They had the perfect game, and Fury just went in and just straight up died early on in the
This is just revenge.
Like he's like, yeah, if he can do it, why can't I?
I love it. Thank you so much for another great interview, Shikari. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And I'll see you on the next half of the split. See ya.
See you.
I love it. I really like to talk with you.
I actually really enjoy the talk about the Na as well, because he's
Yes.
like, Na could very easily get punished by things like Aurelia, Camille, Trindamere earlier on, but he's like, because that mini-Na form is a problem and a liability if you do get jumped on, giving that extra HP on the mini-Na has made him such a safe, blind, pickable pick that I just never thought about, oh my god, mini-Na has almost the same HP as Sona. Like, I'd never looked at it that way. So it was super insightful to have that from Shikari.
And it's good to have more mentalities about how to play the top lane. It's not only about I play aggressively, so I should be the best in the league. It's not about I play safe. It's about what your team needs, and the better the top laner, the better you can adapt to that lane, right? I guess so.
You're absolutely right. No, I love how the changes in the durability patch have influenced the early game for so many champions. But for Gnar, yeah, he's so easily punished in general. And having this possibility to just have the safe lane allows him to go into the mid game, allows him to go into the team fights much stronger than before. You don't need to rely necessarily on the Mega Gnar form as much as before. And it's huge for him and huge for the team as well.
Now looking into the other side, Vanir obviously finishing up the first half of the split with the loss versus Bifrost, a team that they need to defeat to jump into the top of the standings. We have Erixen with us for the interview. Welcome, Erixen. It was a rough game. It seemed like as soon as Bifrost took control of the early game, there was not a single reply from you guys. It was really hard to come back into the game. How did you feel as soon as you saw that?
I mean, I feel like we honestly just let the game kind of slip away from us. I think we didn't really respond well in the early game. We weren't really, I guess, like covering the right lanes and like just having the early game plan like in our heads. So I think we could have done like a lot more in that aspect. But also, yeah, there was some individual mistakes, and that kind of just like a lot of small details that just like made the game snowball because they have like Kalista and stuff. So it was kind of hard once they snowballed to come back into the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty difficult as well in the
Yeah.
mid game as well. And I want to ask you, I want to go all the way back to like draft prep and draft itself. Obviously, we saw JDXL pick the Udyr as well, and you guys are the second ones to pick it today. Please run me through like sort of the process with drafting Udyr. Does he fall like straight into the category of, oh, there's Wukong, Viego, Volibear, and then Udyr right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think depending on the team, like you can even go like either over the Volibear, just depends on like how you want to execute the game. Like I think there's like really strong just for like farming really fast and like being a nuisance in the team fights, just running around stunning people. But yeah, like today we picked the Udyr, and yeah, I would say it was like a decent pick, just we didn't execute it well enough to win the game.
I'm talking about the composition and moving away from this game. I would like to talk about your top laner now, Dreampool, joining the Vanir roster. What has he brought to you guys so far? Obviously, one game into competitive doesn't mean a lot, but obviously you may have a few scrims with him. So can you run me by what can we expect from this top laner so we can get to know him better?
I mean, I think he's a really vocal top laner. He really like calls for what he wants in the laning phase. I think this guy has like very insane knowledge, just like what he wants to do in the laning phase, and he's communicating like basically what he can do at any point of the game, what items you need, blah blah blah. Just like he's giving a lot of room for us to just like have this game plan, which I think is like really beneficial for us. So yeah, I think it's been a great asset to the team. We just need to yeah, keep playing together and get like more comfortable with each other.
Now you're going into a part where you know those teams, you fought against them. So let's see how Vanir is going to fare at the end of the split. Thank you so much for another one, Erixen, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, see you guys.
You got it. Also, you need to stop stealing those questions from me. Look at this. You dear massive lead. See? I'm
What can I
kidding.
say,
I'm
man?
kidding.
Great minds
Think alike. There you go.
Again, hitting
So,
on the dream pool situation right there, I think it's so important to have a player that's on the side of the map that is so extremely vocal, knowing when to call your jungle towards the top side of the map, knowing when to call a fight towards the top side of the map, knowing to call when you need, which item you need, how longer do you need to stay on the map, when do you want to pray through a side lane. I think it's so important and so beneficial for a team to have such a vocal side lane. And honestly, I cannot wait to see sort of Dreampool play more games into Vanir and see what that, not necessarily shot calling, but that vocal on the top side of the map sort of person brings to the team.
and there's a big question. What is going to happen with Vanir as soon as they get the synergy moving on with Dreampool on the top side? But Solari, help me through the standings. We're almost done through the day, but I want you to guide me through these ones.
I wouldn't guide you from the top and the bottom because you know how it looks like, but the middle ones, trouble. We knew it was coming, and here it's coming. Everything is changing so far. Bifrost on the third place, Astralis on the fourth. That's still looking for a possibility to jump higher because they're right now on the same page with Astralis, and they have the possibility to get closer to Bifrost even potentially. And right below them, X7 with 4-4. It actually looks like they have a chance to climb higher. There is not much time left. But everybody has this possibility to go further.
And it's the first time that we also have a third place on their own right here. XL solidifying themselves first, second for Riddle, third for Bifrost. No ties between the three. We have a very clear 1, 2, 3 in the league. The surprising factor is that X7 is not between these three, and it's Riddle this time.